So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on What If Naruto Meet Kin After Became Green Flame Dragon movie, but before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. It was a sunny day in Konoha and our blonde hero was walking through the woods with a frown on his face and his eyes showed frustration, anger and concern. Damn, I can't believe Kakashi-sensei left me with the closet pervert. I need to get stronger if I'm going to make that prick Neji pay for nearly killing Hinata. I just hope she's okay, Naruto thought to himself as he punched a tree in his anger, not noticing the red chakra that formed around his hand. The only good thing that came out of today is that Oji-san fixed my seal, he thought angrily as he walked further through the forest, lost in his own thoughts. Suddenly, he heard something and looked up to see a rainbow-hued object flying in the sky, coming straight for him. He ran as the multicolored rock came crashing down in an explosion that sent him flying, knocking him unconscious. What hit me? He moaned as his memory came back. Oh, I remember now, that weird rock from the sky hit me. His vision was blurry as he looked around and saw a nearby lake. He walked over to get a drink, but when he looked into his reflection, he was shocked to see that his skin had a green tint and his eyes were a deep shade of emerald. His orange jacket was tattered and even the cloth on his headband was ripped, but it still held the metal plaque in place. He reached to touch his reflection and saw something that scared him more than his now green skin. His hands were engulfed in a green fire that sparked black on the inside. "My hands are on fire," he yelled as he pushed his hands in the lake to try and extinguish his fiery palms. He pulled his hands out of the lake, but steam rose off of them until they were once again on fire. "My hands are on fire," he screamed. "My hands are on fire and they don't hurt?" the blonde said with a confused face. Naruto stared at his hands in fascination. This is so cool, Naruto thought. I've got to try these babies out. Now all I need to do is find myself a training ground. There's no sense in burning down the forest. As he walked through the dank forest, he thought he heard something like growling, but he didn't think anything of it. After a couple minutes of hard walking, he found an abandoned training ground that seemed perfect to start his training. It had wood posts for practicing taijutsu and target practice. There was also a small lake that looked perfect to bath in after training. Overall, it looked a lot like Team 7's training ground, except that it looked untouched. There were no signs that anyone trained here except that the posts had some scratch marks upon it. I guess this place hasn't been used in a long time, so I'll just make this my new private training ground, he thought excitedly at the thought of having his own place to train. "Kit!" A booming voice called out distantly. Naruto could barely hear it though. "Who's there?" Naruto shouted into thin air. "In your mind, Kit, I've been calling you for a while now," said the voice, suddenly coming into focus. "Kyuubi, is that you?" asked Naruto. "What other giant fox demon do you have in your head, Gaki?" replied the fox sarcastically. "Yep, that's Kyuubi all right," the blonde said dryly. "Shut it, Gaki. Now listen closely, that colored rock that fell from the sky was a comet. It seems that it gave you some bloodlines. I believe 4 to be exact, the fire around your hands is one of them. So first of all, how are you talking to me, and second, how do I turn my hands off my hands, fox?" asked Naruto. "To answer your first question, I'm able to talk to you because of the comet. Who do you think healed you after the blast, Kit? And because you've been channeling my chakra since you've been angry at that long-haired boy for hurting your mate, Kit," the fox said slyly. "What do you mean, fox?" he trailed off as he realized what the fox meant. "You stupid fox, it isn't like that." "Whatever you say, Kit," said the demon chuckling lightly, "and second, just stop sending chakra to your hands. Oh, and maybe you should speak in your thoughts instead of shouting to the wind like you're insane." "Okay." Naruto thought with a blush on his cheeks from anger and embarrassment. His hands stopped emanating the green fire as he stopped the flow of chakra. "Now what did you want, fox?" "As I said, Kit, you have 4 bloodlines, 1 is active and the other 3 are inactive, so I suggest you learn how to use them." "So are you going to train me or something, fox?" "I have learned many things in my travels. I'm not a 9-tailed demon for nothing," the fox said proudly. "I will train you. We will start with basic chakra control. And before you complain, you need a lot more control if you're gonna use even one of my basic jutsu. But I can teach you some of your human fire jutsu that ILEARND form your kind, but we only have a month to train, so we're going to have to train twice as much in half the time." "And how do you suggest we do that?" Naruto could have sworn he felt the fox grin inside of him. "Simple. Kagebunshin. Nani? When a Kage Bunshin is dispelled, you learn everything it learned. So if you were to read every book in the library, then I would be able to learn everything that my clones read. So if I did that with, say, 20 clones per jutsu, then I would learn that jutsu 20 times more in one day. Naruto thought excitedly. And that's how you're going to train your chakra control, learn new jutsus, etc. So let's get to work, the fox said as Naruto created his clones and sent them off for the library. Time skip. Naruto learned much about his new bloodline. He could create balls of plasma that explode on contact, or shoot a direct blast of energy similar to a laser. He had incinerated a post-training his control over his flames, and he could even mix his powers with the fire jutsu, turning them green and increasing their power, but it consumes twice as much chakra. So far he had learned fire release. Great fireball technique, and he would have learned more, but decided to call it quits before he passed out from exhaustion. As he jumped from roof to roof on his way home, he heard something and looked down to see two ninja chasing a girl and hurried to help. Kintsuchi was not having a good day. First, she lost to a guy who can only be described as a sloth. And now Orochimaru's goons are trying to capture her so he could probably sacrifice her to his snakes. All I need to do is lose these fools but all thought of escape had left her mind as a kunai sank into her left calf. Did you really think you could run from Orochimaru's wrath, little girl? Said the nameless sound Jonin, obviously enjoying himself. Come on, let's just kill her and get out of here before any Anbu show up, his slightly less cocky partner said looking around. Fine, you failed Orochimaru, and now you must pay the price, replied the Jonin. Time to die, little girl, he yelled as he charged the downed Kunoichi. I guess this is it, thought Kin as she closed her eyes and awaited the soft sound of death. Thunk, thunk, thought Kin confused at the sound. She was pretty sure that thunk wasn't the sound of death. She opened her eyes to see a kunai embedded in the roof between her and her attackers, but what caught her eye was the tag on the kunai. Kuso. She thought as she turned her head before a bright flash burst from the kunai, illuminating the area. The two nin weren't as lucky as the flash hit their eyes. After the flash died, Kin looked to see a sight that would change her life forever. A boy in a tattered orange jacket with matching pants. The boy charged the two nin and his hand exploded in a green blaze. He delivered a vicious blow to the gut of the cocky goon and knocked the wind out of him. As the nin doubled over, the boy gave him a swift chop to the neck, knocking him out. He extended his left arm towards the other without looking, and before the nin's eyes could regain focus, he launched a ball of green energy towards his leg. The nin screamed in pain as the blast hit and dropped to one knee. The boy walked over to him, hands unlit, and the only things the sound nin saw before he died was cold green eyes and a hand that covered his face. The boy only spoke one word. His voice was as cold as ice. Die, said the boy, his hand lighting and unleashing a jet of fire, melting the face off the sound nin, killing him instantly. Kin watched as the boy shook his head and walked over to her. He held out his hand, but she paid no attention to it. As he got closer, she got lost in the most beautiful green eyes she had ever seen. They were like emeralds glistening in the moonlight. Naruto was getting worried. He just killed that sound nin that threatened the girl and knocked out the other one, but the question was why they were here. And now he was trying to help a girl that wouldn't do anything but look at him. Hey, are you okay? Asked Naruto, feeling concerned. Oh, thank you, said Kin, finally snapping out of her stupor, taking his hand and hoping the darkness would cover her blush. Good. Can you walk? He said with a smile. His emerald eyes were slowly turning into sapphires. I think so, said Kin, blushing more at the sight of his kind smile. Good, cause we need to go to the Hokage to see about your friend here, said Naruto as he motioned towards the unconscious nin on the ground. Kin weighed her chances. She could either go back to the sound and die or cooperate with the Konoha Hokage and possibly live. Konoha it is. Okay, then let's go. By the way, my name's Tsuchi Kin. My name's Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage, as he said that Kin recognized him from the preliminaries. Aren't you one of the Chunin from the exams? Asked Kin. Naruto stared her in concentration as if thinking hard, trying to remember her. She had to admit he looked really cute. His face looked a lot like a fox. He already had whiskers. All he needed was a pair of fox ears. She blushed at that thought, berating herself for letting this boy affect her this much. Now I remember you. You lost to Shikamaru. You were doing great until he captured you in his shadow. She bristled remembering her loss. Let's just get going. Okay, said Naruto as he flung the sound nin over his shoulder and started towards the Hokage tower, walking in silence till they finally reached the door. It was a little past midnight and the Hokage was putting the finishing touches on his paperwork, the bane of all cages except one. Minato, I don't know how you defeated the greatest enemy of all Cage, but I can only hope your son can take over so I can finally retire in peace, thought Sarutobi, looking at the picture of the Yondaime, only to be interrupted from thoughts by the Yondaime's son himself, Uzumaki Naruto. Oji-san, you'll never guess what happened to me today. It was this day the green flame of Konoha was born. So let me get this straight. You say you have not just one but 4 bloodlines. Naruto responded with a nod. And you had a small talk with your tenant, am I right? He asked, using the tenant, knowing that they could talk about the fox more in private. Naruto nodded again. And then you saved this girl from 2 sound nin, one dead, the other with Ibiki, to confirm this girl's story about the San's involvement in the attack, right? Both Kin and Naruto nodded at that. I'm getting too old for this, said Sarutobi with a sigh. Kin, could you wait outside for a moment please? He watched as she left the room, and when she closed the door he used a silencing jutsu. Okay, so what this about the fox, Naruto? Naruto sighed before he began. The fox decided that it would be in both our interests if he taught me some chakra control. Learn some fire jutsu too, since my bloodline revolves around fire, and maybe create my own fighting style, something that focuses on my strengths. The aged Hokage sighed for the umpteenth time as he massaged his temple. This would complicate things. Naruto, it seems now that you have a bloodline, I can tell you about your heritage, seeing as you will probably be forced to revive your clan. Naruto immediately perked up at the word heritage. All his life, he's wondered who his parents were, and now thanks to some rock he's going to find out. Note to self: never ever kick a rock again. So who are my parents, Oji-san? Naruto asked eagerly. Sarutobi walked over to the picture of Yondaime and moved it over to reveal a safe. He opened it up and pulled out a scroll, which he handed to Naruto. Naruto, put some blood on the seal, it will only open for you. He did what he said and opened the scroll and read. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this, you're either a Jonin, 18, or the current Hokage has decided you're ready to know. My name is Namikaze Minato, Yondaime Hokage. I'm sorry to have to keep this a secret from you, but to protect you from my enemies it had to be done. I hoped that your mother would have taken care of you, but she died shortly after giving birth to you. Your mother's name was Uzumaki Kushina, and she was a tomboy through and through when she was younger, but blossomed into a beautiful woman. She had long red hair and the most beautiful green eyes you ever saw, they were like emeralds. No doubt you know about the fox. I know you'll be the hero I saw you as, even if the village doesn't as I had wished. I know that if you have even a drop of your mother's spirit, you'll make them see you as the hero you were intended to be. Your mother never took no for an answer, and neither should you. Naruto, I just want you to know that your mother and I love you, and we know you'll succeed in your dream, whatever they may be. Love, Namikaze Minato. Naruto couldn't help but cry. He was the son of his hero. He had a family that loved him, and they believed in his dreams. It was too good to be true. Well, Naruto, I will have to talk to the council about your bloodline and your heritage to receive our inheritance in your father's home. I'll get it done first thing tomorrow, but first, do you know about the clan reconstruction law? Naruto shook his head. He couldn't help but wonder what the boy's reaction would be as he forced back a smile. When a bloodline is near extinction, all males are forced to practice polygamy, said Sarutobi with grin. You mean I'll have an arranged marriage, said a very pale Naruto. As clan head you can decline any proposal until you're 15. If you don't 4 wives by then, you'll be forced into marriage. So I need 4 wives by the end of 3 years, great, he said dryly. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll figure it out. But on to other matters, could you bring Kin in here, he said and smiled to himself as they came through the door and sat down. Well Kin, I'd be happy to make you a member of our village. But you'll be under probation until the end of the Chunin exams, and you'll need to have a guardian at all times till then. Great, who's the guardian? Asked Kin, a little upset about having to have someone following her around. Why, he's sitting right next to you, he said with a smile. What? But I can't be following her around all day, I have training to do, exclaimed Naruto. Naruto, I'm sure it won't be much trouble, and maybe she could help you with your training. Okay Oji-san, so long as it doesn't interfere with my training, I'm in. Good, because that will also solve where she will be staying. She can stay with you in your apartment until you get your father's house tomorrow. But seeing as she will be living with you, you might want to tell her your condition. Naruto thought this might happen. He could only hope that she wasn't like the villagers. Well, to make a long story short, my father Yondaime couldn't kill the Kyuubi no Kitsune, so he had to seal it in me. This is the part where she screams and runs away. I see, you're like that kid Gaara. There's another like me. Wait, you don't care? Said Naruto, confused that she didn't care. Obviously. You saved the village from the fox. If people can't see that, then they must be blind, Kin stated in an obvious tone. Naruto gave a true smile. Another person had accepted him, and she was his age too. Well, I think you should go get some sleep. You have a busy day tomorrow and I have paperwork to finish, said the Hokage. Okay. See you tomorrow Oji-san. Come on Kin, said Naruto, making his way to the door. Thank you Hokage-sama, Kin said as she bowed to him and left to follow Naruto. Well, it looks like Naruto has made a new friend. I'd better inform my perverted student, since he's back in the village. Knowing him, he'll probably be at the hot springs tomorrow. Maybe I'll check out the hot springs through my crystal ball tomorrow, he thought as he let out a perverted giggle at the last part. Well, here we are, Naruto said as they walked through the apartment door. It's not much, but it's home. The kitchen's in the living room, the bathroom's across from our room, I'll be sleeping on the floor. As he made his way towards the bedroom, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Naruto-sama, you can sleep on the bed, I'll sleep on the floor. Wait, first off, what's with the sama, and second, it's only for one night since I'll be getting my father's home. You saved my life and I will repay you with my own. I will not have you sleeping on the floor, but if I must have the bed then you're sharing it with me, Kin said firmly. I guess she not going to budge on the subject, and I don't really mind the sama. I just don't want her acting like a slave or servant, that's the last thing I need, having her serve my every want and need, having to punish her when she stopped. He violently shook his head to try and break his thoughts. Don't even think of going down that road, once you do there's no turning back. He saw that Kin was waiting for him to say something, so he decided to break from berating himself for even thinking like a pervert. Okay. We'll sleep together, and by sleep together I mean like asleep as in we won't be awake, because I would never have sex with you, not that I wouldn't want to. You're a very beautiful girl and I would love to see you naked. I mean not without you permission, it's just, I'm rambling, aren't I'm just going to shut up now please don't hit me. He squeaked the last part out while ducking and covering his head. Smooth kid, really smooth, the fox said sarcastically. Shut up fox, the only good thing is that when she kills me, you're going down with me, he thought as he awaited Kin to kill him, only to hear, giggling. He looked up slowly to see Kin giggling at him. Naruto-sama, I think I understand what you're saying, and I trust you not to do anything I wouldn't want. Naruto let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He didn't feel like dying anytime soon. Good, I'll just get changed in my PJs in the bathroom, he said as he went to get changed. Once he was done, he had on his normal black PJs and his dog-faced nightcap. As he walked into the room, he saw Kin getting into bed in nothing but her bra and panties. You're going to sleep like that? He yelled, pointing at her state of dress or undress. I usually sleep in the nude, she said nonchalantly. But I figured that would only make things worse, and I don't have anything to sleep in anyway. Okay, but when I get my inheritance, we're buying you some clothes, he stated as he tried to think clean thoughts. Stupid hormones aren't making it any better either, he thought as he slowly fell asleep only to find himself in a sewer. Great, where am I? Kit, come here. He heard the fox call from behind a giant cell door with a piece of paper on it with the word seal. He walked up to the door only to see something that shocked him more than anything else in his life. There stood a girl who looked to be about 16 to 19 and well endowed for her age. She had red hair that was tied into two big pigtails, which were tied by two red bows and two little ones that hung next to her face. She was wearing a red dress with a purple bow on her back hip, a red choker around her neck. She had red-heeled shoes on and long black gloves that reached a little past her elbows. Her eyes were a fierce red with slit pupils and she stood with poise as she put her hand on her hips. And at Ryuka Jihyo from Hanaukyo made Team La Verite, I thought she'd make a good female Kyuubi. Ah ha 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 ha, was the boisterous and elegant laugh that came from the girl. So, my jailer has come to bask in my grace, or maybe he has come to see what a real woman's body should look like, seeing as the only female body you have any interest in is that pink-haired girl's, if you can even call her a girl. Her voice was like her laugh, elegant and lively with evident pride and a little arrogant. If he hadn't come to the realization that Sakura wasn't as great as he thought, during training, he would have stuck up for her, but he knew it'd be a lie if he did. Well boy, is this all you do now that we have finally come face to face? You should feel honored to even look upon me. You're awfully full of yourself, aren't you? How dare you, she sneered. I, Kyuubi no Kitsune, was gracious enough to even speak to the likes of you. Respect me. Be reverent. Throw yourself at my feet. You sure are lively, aren't you? What makes you think I'd bow to you? Well, at least you have some backbone to even think about talking back to the greatest of the fox demons. Who was defeated by a single human, Naruto stated with a smirk. Single human, my beautiful nine tails, he had a giant toad and Shinigami on his side, Kyuubi said in her defense. True, so what do you want anyway? Can't I want to talk to my jailer without it having to be about something? She said in a mock-hurt tone. I heal you when you get attacked by the villagers and even lend you my chakra, and this is the thanks I get? May I remind you whose fault it is for getting attacked by the villagers, he said with a glare. Look, I'm sorry, all right. It wasn't even my fault. All I know was 1 second I was in the demon realm, then the next this Uchiha summoned me somehow and had the nerve to demand me to attack you for the leaf. I refused and was going to leave when he had the nerve to use the eyes that I gave to their clan. The eyes I had bestowed their clan, the eyes of the Fox clan. She stopped to get a hold on herself. When he used the bloodline that I gave their clan on me, I lost it. I gave them that bloodline. I sure as hell could take it back, but I couldn't just leave it at that. That man insulted me by trying to command me and then committed the ultimate insult to use the powers of my clan on me, so I decided to wipe them all out instead of just removing their bloodline, and kill anyone who got in my way, she said sadly. It was only after I got sealed did I calm down enough to look at anything clearly. If what he said was true, then why were the ones that surrounded you after the sealing so confused? The current Hokage and some white-haired man who reeked of toads didn't have a clue why I attacked. That, and in my thoughts I remembered the Mon's scent, the scent of the very man I gave the bloodline to, Uchiha Madara. She finished as she turned her head, though she hid it well. Naruto saw that her eyes showed a hint of remorse. Well, if those are your reasons for attacking, then I guess I could forgive you, said Naruto with a kind smile. She turned her head and he saw a quick flash of relief, but it just as quickly changed to a cocky grin. Who said I was looking for your forgiveness? Besides, it's not like I care what your opinion is, I just felt like clearing that up. Well then, was there something you wanted? I have a proposition for you. And what could you offer me? Asked Naruto, a little curious what she could offer him. My hand, she stated proudly. Why would I want your hand? I got two of my own. Naruto asked, completely missing the meaning of what she said. No, you baka. My hand as in marriage. What? Why would you want to marry me? Well, if you must know, you have a strong will. You can be sarcastic and witty, even slightly cruel when you want to be. She was going to continue, but he cut her off. One does not live under the hatred and ridicule of an entire village and not learn a few things. Quite, and most importantly, you're loyal. I mean, you followed that pink-haired girl around since the academy until now. I could think of no one better than you to have a litter of kits with, not that I have much choice in the matter. Well, I do need 4 wives, but even if I do marry you, it won't do any good if you're in here. Or did you forget that little fact, Kyuubiheim? Don't worry about that. I'm sure I'll figure out a way before you fight Neji. So, what do we do now? Asked the blonde. Kyuubi put her hand on her chin and started to think as her eyes glazed over for a few seconds and then grinned at Naruto in a foxy manner, which unsettled him. I think you should wake up now, you've got a lot to do, she said with that foxy grin still planted her face. Why should I trust you? 'Cause I really don't like that look on your face, Naruto asked suspiciously. Well, if you don't feel like getting up, then we could always work on that litter of kits I was talking about, she said suggestively. Naruto took that as his cue to leave, not wanting any kits, as she put it, and left, not hearing the fox chuckle. As Naruto woke up, he noticed that could not see, as his face was up against something soft. Praying it wasn't what he thought it was, he tried to move only to feel 2 soft arms around him. He moved his head up to see Kin's face, confirming that his face was in her breasts, just as he thought. Oh man, I am going to die if she wakes up, thought a very pale Naruto as he tried to free himself from her grasp, only to elicit a moan from her as his face rubbed against her breasts. Naruto-sama, Kin moaned out in pleasure, which caused the blood that had left Naruto's face to start to travel south. Damn hormones, stop making things worse, he thought as he finally managed to free himself from her arms and ran to take a long, cold shower. When he was done, he went to get dressed. He noticed that Kin was up and went to his dresser, only to find that he was out of his orange jackets and the same with his pants. Aw man, this sucks. I'm going to have to buy some more, he thought as he found a pair of cloths that the Hokage gave him for his birthday last year. It was a little big, but he said he would grow into it. He looked at himself in the mirror. It wasn't orange, but it would do. It was a black turtleneck and a red jersey over it with tan khakis and his usual sandals. Well then, I should get some ramen before I get my inheritance, he said as he walked to the kitchen and saw that Kin had made breakfast. All you had was ramen, so I made us a bowl, she said as Naruto sat down and began to eat. Thanks, as soon as I get some of my father's money, we'll go shopping for some clothes, said Naruto between gulps as he shoveled ramen into his mouth. The rest of meal was silent, and when he was done, he said goodbye to Kin as he left towards the Hokage Tower, ready to begin his life as a Namikaze. Sigh, it had to be the council, thought Naruto as he walked with Sarutobi into the council room. In the room were the ninja and civilian clan heads. Though the ninja clans were fair enough, it was the civilian clans you had to worry about. Most of them were just power-hungry that think only for themselves. The only civilian that supported him was Haruno Hitome. Even though Hitome lost her husband when the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked, she was always nice to Naruto. He often wondered if she even had a mean bone in her body. Naruto was cut from his thoughts by some fat no-name civilian clan head. Hokage-sama, why have you called us here and why did you bring that thing with you? He said with a sneer. The Hokage's usually kind face hardened as he narrowed his eyes at the man. I would refrain from calling him a thing in my presence. The man closed his mouth and stared at the floor. I called you all here to talk to you about Naruto's new bloodlines and of his heritage. At the word bloodlines got most of the council to talk amongst themselves until the same villager spoke up again. How could this brat have a heritage? He's an orphan, said the fat man. Just because I'm a orphan doesn't mean I didn't have parents. It's not like a stork just dropped me off here. Naruto said sarcastically, but soon after raised his hand to cover his mouth as his face had a look of mock surprise. Oh, unless you don't know how babies are born. Well, you see, when a man and a woman love each other, or are really drunk, they proceed to an act which is called sexual intercourse, or what I like to call mating, which can go on for hours at a time depending one's stamina and kinks. And then. But before he could continue, Hitomi cut him off. Naruto, as enlightening this conversation is, maybe we should get back to the topic at hand. What are these bloodlines of yours, Naruto-kun? I don't care what you say, there is no way that this thing has a bloodline, piped up the fat guy again. Now it's not nice to call people things, said Hitomi as if she was scolding a child, shaking her finger at him. Listen, bitch, I don't care what you think, there's no chance in hell that dem. Slam. The man and the other council looked in horror and awe at the boy that had just slammed his flaming hands on his desk. Naruto's skin had turned pale and had a tint of green tint, and his once blue eyes were now an emerald green, but what really caught their attention was his hands. I don't care what you say about me, but if you ever call her that again I'll roast you alive, Naruto said as held up one of his hands like a claw and clenched his fingers, cracking his knuckles. Think of the way Inuyasha or Ranma cracks their fingers with one hand. Now Naruto, there will be no need for that, but I do appreciate it, said Hitomi, trying to calm him down. Fine, Naruto said with a growl before putting out the flames on his hands and walking back towards Sarutobi as his eyes and skin slowly turned back to normal. Well, now that we have seen Naruto's bloodline, is there any questions? Said the aged Hokage. Yes, what else can it do with the flames on your hands? Asked Hyuga Heishi. Well, I can launch balls of plasma that explode when they hit something and fire a direct blast of fire like a laser. I can make the beam smaller if I concentrate. I think I can make it small enough to shoot from one of my fingers, but I need a bit more chakra control. I can also increase the power of fire-based jutsu, and my bloodline is active. It just takes at least twice as much more chakra, and the best part is that keeping my bloodline on doesn't take much chakra. Hell, even using normal-sized blast of hardly costs much, and with my stamina it's more of a drop in a barrel than a drop in a bucket. So any more questions? Naruto-kun, Hokage-sama said bloodlines. As in more than one, right? Asked Hitomi. Right. There are 3 others, but I just don't know what they are yet. Well, if we're done with that, it's time to announce your heritage, Naruto, said Sarutobi. Who could this brat be related to that could be so important? Huh? Said Fat Man, who had worked up some courage. Sarutobi knew he was going to love the look on their faces. Namikaze Minato. He was right, he loved the look on their faces. All of them were shocked with their jaws on the floor. It's times like this I wish I brought a camera. Even Hiashi's surprised, thought the aged Hokage. But Minato was not married, said Heishi. In fact, the only woman he was truly close to was Kushina. Who? Asked a civilian clan head. Uzumaki Kushina, said Yamanaka Inochi. I heard she came from another village, Whirlpool I think. She was my wife's friend. All I know is when she was young she was the definition of the word tomboy. Hell, when I first met her I was 12. I was in the academy and I thought she was a guy since she had her hair tucked in a hat she wore. Well, when she told me she was a girl I said I didn't believe her because girls her age shouldn't have such a flat chest. Next thing I know is I'm laid out on my back after she gave me a right hook. Said Inochi, rubbing his cheek, remembering where she hit him. I'm kind of disappointed she didn't tell me. She must have used a genjutsu to hide her pregnancy from everybody. Said Inuzuka Sume. I suggest some arranged marriages. I will write up marriage contract with my daughter immediately, said the fat man, causing many of the clan heads to glare at the man, each for their own reasons. The civilian heads for taking their idea and the ninja heads for trying to use their friend's son. Sarutobi wasn't surprised by their reactions, but what did surprise him was Naruto's and Hiashi's reactions. Naruto looked bored as he just stood there picking at his nails, and Heishi had a look on his face that worried him. Heishi was known for many things. One of those things was the ability to show little or no emotion, but Sarutobi knew what signs to look for when he wanted to know what Heishi was thinking, and what worried him was the distant look in his eyes that were slightly narrowed. He knew that look all too well. It was the look that Heishi got when he trying to figure out something or when he was coming up with a plan, and it had to involve Naruto. He could only hope that he had the boy's best intentions in mind. Before he could dwell much further on the subject, he noticed the fat man looked like he was going to say something, but Naruto cut him off. You can make any contract you want, I'm not gonna sign it, he said in a bored tone. What? But you have to marry someone, it's the law. That may be, but as the head of my clan I can reject any marriage contract unless I have less than 4 wives by the time I'm 15. The fat man was seething, but before he could respond, Sarutobi stepped in. If nobody has any questions, please leave, for I have business to attend to with the new Namikaze. And with that, everyone left to inform his or her clan about the news. Now Naruto-kun, I have something special for you, said the Hokage as he handed him a book. What's this, Oji-san? That is a log of all the money your father made as a ninja and rewards from minor villages he had saved during the Konoha-Iwa War, and with that he bought the publishing office that publishes one of the most successful books out there, and it has made him a very rich man. Naruto opened the book to see how rich his father was. As he opened the first page, he was shocked, so much that he didn't even notice the Hokage chuckle from the look on his face. Look at all the zeros, said Naruto, slightly drooling at the amount of money as he flipped through the pages. Yes, your father was quite wealthy. And the commas, look at all the commas. Naruto, are you sure you can handle all the money? What? Naruto said, coming out of his stupor. Oh yeah, I'm sure I can handle it, don't worry, I'll be completely responsible. Okay, you can go then, and I'll show you to your house when you're ready. I'll see you later then. Oh, and don't worry, this money won't change me. 5 minutes later. Hey Tucci, give me a large bowl of ramen and keep it coming. Sure, any special reason why? Yep, it turns out I'm the Yondaimi's son. What? Yelled the ramen chef. You're shitting me. I shit you not, kind sir, I am his one and only son. That makes me the richest person in Konoha. Here, look at my bank statement, Naruto said as he handed him a book that showed all his finances. Kami, where do the zeros end? Shouted Tucci as he flipped through the pages. Don't know, I haven't got that far in the book. Dad, what's the matter? Asked Ayame, come from the back, wondering what was wrong. Naruto is Yondaimi's son, he said, still recovering from the shock. Really, you must be so proud, Naruto-kun. Yep, he is my hero after all, and now that I have money I'm going to do something special. Well, maybe you should get some more clothes, you look very handsome when you finally get out of that jumpsuit and let your hair free. That reminds me, I have to get a new headband, or at least a new cloth, seeing as the plate is okay. He noticed that she was waiting for an answer, so he decided to compliment her. Thanks, you're looking pretty as usual, he replied innocently, causing Ayame to blush, which only her father noticed. You wouldn't happen to be hitting on my daughter, would you, Naruto? Tucci said with a smirk, making Ayame's blush deepen. No sir, I like your cooking utensils where I like them, in the kitchen, making me ramen, not used to kill me, said Naruto, throwing his hand in front of him in protest. Good, but seeing as you're my favorite customer and probably the only boy I trust in this village with my daughter, I might let you take her on a date, said Tucci, taking pleasure in watching Naruto and his daughter try to hide their blushes. Here Naruto, eat up, something tells me you're going to need the energy, he said, handing him a bowl of ramen. Thanks old man, but if I'm going date her, she has to realizes that I'm the last of my clan and gonna need 4 or more wives. But it's not, there are girls fighting over who's going to marry me, right? And with that Naruto ate his ramen, ignorant to how untrue his words were. 10 minuets later, that was good, thought Naruto. He walked down the street having just finished his ramen. Nothing could go wrong with this day. As he turned around a corner, he collided into someone he hadn't seen for a while. She had short purple hair that went nearly down to her shoulders with bangs that just barely concealed her headband. Her brown eyes shone her frustration for the boy in front of her. She wore what looked like a violet sleeveless kimono with a white obi with a black ribbon tied in a bow behind her. She had what looked like embu pants with black arm warmers and sandals. Shit, it's Amy, thought Naruto. Watch where you're walking, freak, Amy said with a scowl. What's your problem? You are, loser, she said, pointing a finger at him. How they even let you become a ninja, I'll never know. I earned it, he said sharply, sending her a glare. Whatever, she replied, then narrowed her eyes. I have to go see all my friends. You know, friends, something you'll never have, she said with a smirk. I have friends. Yeah, if you call a handful of losers friends, then yes you do. Naruto looked like he was going to yell at her, but calmed down and sighed and began to walk away, but stopped and without turning and started to speak. You know, I'd rather have a handful of friends who care about me than a group that doesn't, so if you don't mind I have to visit one of them, he said before walking away. That jerk, who does he think he is, talking to me like that? My friends care about me, don't they? She shook herself from that thought. Loser, trying to trick me. I bet his friends aren't all that great. I'll show him, and with that she stormed after him. Man, and this day was going so perfectly. Well, at least I made it to the hospital, he thought, as he was about to walk in. Suddenly he heard someone yelling at him from behind. Hey you jerk, he heard from the purple-haired girl that had finally caught up to him. Amy, what are you doing here? I'm here to see what's so special about your friends. Fine, just don't bother them, he said, making his way towards Hinata's room with Amy right behind him. When they found her room, he noticed the door was open and walked inside. Hey Hinata. Naruto-kun, what are you doing here? She stuttered. Visiting you, what else? He said with a smile. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said with a blush, then noticed he was with someone. Who is she, Naruto-kun? Oh, her, he said blandly. That's Amy, you know, the bully from the academy. I'm not a bully, you loser, Amy yelled while hitting him on the side of the head. Oh hi Amy, she said nervously, only to get a, whatever, in response. So Hinata, I have so much to tell you. Guess what I am, but before he could say anything else he was cut off by someone clearing their throat. Excuse me Naruto, but I must speak with my daughter alone, said the man he recognized as Heishi. Okay, I'll tell you later Hinata, I'm going to see how Lee is, later. Heishi watched as he left before turning to his daughter. You wanted to speak to me. Yes, I came to tell you I have found a suitable husband for you and your sister. Who am I my G going to marry, she said sadly, knowing that she wouldn't have a chance at getting Naruto now. The heir to the Namikaze clan, Uzumaki Naruto. Hinata did the only thing she could do, she fainted. Meanwhile Naruto and Amy were walking towards Lee's room when they saw Shikamaru. Hey Shikamaru, what are you doing here? I came to see Choji, what's that troublesome girl doing here? Long story. Anyway, I'm going to see Lee, want to come? Sounds troublesome, but I'll come, said Shikamaru as he followed the two to Lee's room. When the three made it to Lee's room, all they saw was Gaara ready to crush Lee with his sand, but was stopped by Shikamaru's Kagemain no Jutsu. What the hell are you trying to do to Lee? Demanded Naruto. I wanted to kill him. Well, if you're one thing, it's honest, Naruto said dryly. Don't interfere or I'll kill you. Well, if I have to choose between my life and my friends, I guess I'll just choose to kick your ass, exclaimed Naruto, getting into a fighting stance. Naruto, you idiot, this guy is too much for us, hissed Shikamaru. Well then all we have to do is hold him off till help comes. It doesn't matter, said Gaara. What? Said Naruto as he turned his head towards Gaara, only to see his sand floating aimlessly around him. Die. Damn, Naruto thought as he charged toward the redhead, only to be forced to dodge a spiked tentacle of sand, and was about to charge again but turned around when he heard Amy scream, only to find the tentacle about to impale her. Should I have to do something quick? He thought, so he did what he did best. Think on his feet. Amy saw Naruto form some seals from the corner of her eyes while she got ready to try to block the spike of sand flying at her, knowing that she couldn't dodge it, and immediately knew what he was going to try. He wouldn't try to. Amy was pulled from her thoughts as she felt the pull of a Kawarimi no Jutsu. Naruto held back a scream as he felt the spike of sand pierce his lung, not noticing the red chakra flowing through him. Gaara froze in fear as he felt the killer intent and was shocked when the sand he impaled his prey with shot away from Naruto as if he had the plague. That chakra, it can't be. Mother, what's wrong? Why are you scared? Asked out loud, confusing the three shinobi, wondering who he was talking to. Get away from him, I need to think. Gaara never heard Mother talk like this before. Who are you, Uzumaki Naruto, and why do you affect Mother this way? Thought Gaara as he gave a final glance at Naruto before left using the Shunshin no Jutsu. Kuso, that hurt like 8 bitches on a bitch boat. And Naruto, you're alive, yelled Amy as she checked his chest, only to see that the hole in his chest was gone. Damn, this was my last good shirt, he said as he looked at the bloody hole in his shirt before taking it off. Naruto, what was that red chakra? Asked Shikamaru, confused how Naruto survived. Oh, that was my awesomeness re-rating off of me. Just watch out, people have been known go blind from staring at me when that happens. Troublesome blonde, muttered Shikamaru. He's lying through his teeth, that much is obvious, but that chakra was so intense. Idiot, were you trying to get yourself killed? Yelled Amy before smacking him upside the head. Itai, what was that for? I told you that was for being an idiot. Fool nearly dies. Hell, he should be dead with a hole the size of my fist in his chest. But the wound was healed by the time I checked it. How could it have healed, unless that redhead had something to do with it? She was about to say something when she was interrupted by a boisterous voice. Naruto-kun, my youthful friend, I see you came to visit me, said Lee as enthusiastic as ever. Yep, my youthful friend, I came here to relight the flames of your youth on this youthful day by visiting you, youthfully. He said the last part a bit unsure of himself. He hoped by speaking in a youthful manner he could cheer him up. Naruto watched as Lee griped the blankets of his bed, tears falling freely from his eyes. Great Naruto, you big jerk, you made him cry. Maybe I used youth in the wrong way? But before he could continue his train of thought, he was interrupted by a loud yell from Lee. Naruto-kun, my youthful friend, I knew the flames of youth burned brightly in you since your match with Kiba-san. Good, I didn't offend him. Thought Naruto happily. Great, I'll show you how youthful I can be when I fight Neji. Naruto yelled, really getting into speaking youthfully. Wow, this is fun, no wonder Lee and Guy speak like this. Maybe I should wear something green. Shikamaru was watching the troublesome, youthful, shouting between Naruto and Lee and had a terrible revelation: they were bonding. Just what Konoha needs, these two bonding. Next they'll be running laps around the village and eating ramen. What's that troublesome girl doing? Shikamaru watched as Amy walked over to where Naruto and Lee were shouting at the top of their lungs and stood between the bedridden Lee and the still shirtless Naruto before raising both fists above their heads. Knowing exactly what was going to happen next, the lazy Nara decided to look out the window and watch the clouds until the fireworks ended. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.